Hello everyone. In today's video lecture, I will solve second term question paper of Java programming. The question paper was of IP University Delhi. So there are certain questions which will be common to all the engineering colleges and universities across India. So now let's get started with the questions. The first question is explain vector class with example. So what you have to do is you have to give one example of using vector class and explain what is the meaning of vector class. So vector class is nothing but it is like a dynamic array. So vector class is a dynamic array or it implements dynamic array. Vector class implements dynamic array but with a difference as in array list. Since array list is also a dynamic array and vector is also a dynamic array, so there must be some kind of difference between the two. तो आपको क्या करना है, आपको डायनेमिक एरे का जो डिफरेंस है दोनों केसेस में वेक्टर्स और एरे लिस्ट में वो भी एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा. सो द डिफरेंस इज वेक्टर क्लास इज सिंक्रोनाइज्ड. Vector class is synchronized. Then it contains many legacy methods. That are not present in collection framework. तो कलेक्शन फ्रेमवर्क के अलावा भी कुछ लेगेसी मेथड्स हैं जो वेक्टर क्लास के पास होते हैं. Now let's see an example of using vector class. To implement a vector class, you have to import java.util package. So I am writing the example here. Import java.util package. Create vector class. Suppose vector1. Now to create vector class you have to use like this vector. मैं स्ट्रिंग टाइप का बना रहा हूँ तो आपको ऐसे लिखना पड़ेगा स्ट्रिंग, देन द नेम ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट वी सपोज न्यू वेक्टर string. So what I have done is I have created a object of vector class v. अब इसके अंदर एलिमेंट्स को ऐड करने के लिए आपको यूज करना है v.add. आप यूज कर सकते हैं. यू कैन ऑल्सो यूज v.add एलिमेंट. So this is how you can add elements in a vector. To display the contents of vector, you have to use enumeration. So write here enumeration. Then while e dot has more elements, system.out.println e dot next element. So this is the basic example of using vector class. The next question is related to socket programming. The question says explain socket programming. Question is explain socket programming. So in this you have to explain the basics of socket programming and give one example. So I am not writing the example here since I have already created a video of the example. You can see that video with the link given in the section here. So what is socket? सबसे पहले आपको एक्सप्लेन करना है कि सॉकेट होता क्या है. सॉकेट इज अ कम्युनिकेशन मैकेनिज्म. सॉकेट इज अ कम्युनिकेशन मैकेनिज्म between two computers between two computers. So socket is a communication mechanism between two computers. And in the socket programming of Java, you have two different types of socket. One is client socket. So there can be n number of client sockets here. And one is server socket. So what happens is that client sockets maintains or establish a connection with the server socket, and server socket responds back. So this communication is two ways, from client to server and from server to client. So apart from giving the complete code of the socket programming, you can explain the steps of the communication mechanism. सबसे पहले क्या होता है इसमें, that server instantiates a server socket object with the port number. सर्वर एक सर्वर सॉकेट ऑब्जेक्ट बनाता है विद द पोर्ट नंबर. देन सर्वर इन्वोक्स एक्सेप्ट मेथड. सर्वर इन्वोक एक्सेप्ट मेथड. दिस मेथड वेट्स फॉर द क्लाइंट टू एस्टेब्लिश द कनेक्शन. सो द फाइनल स्टेप इज client creates socket object with two different things. One is server name and another is port number. सर्वर का नेम जहाँ पे सर्वर आपका होस्टेड है और पोर्ट नंबर सेम होगा जहाँ पे सर्वर आपका रनिंग है. एंड दिस एक्सेप्ट मेथड इज एक्चुअली वेटिंग फॉर द client to invoke the socket object and maintains the communication. So after explaining this part, you can see my video where I have explained the complete code of socket programming. The next question is related to the iterators. The question is, what are iterators? Now iterators are the components that enables a programmer to cycle through a collection, obtaining or removing elements. So iterators are nothing but these are some of the processes that enables a programmer to iterate each element of a collection. सो एक एक करके आप सारे एलिमेंट्स को या तो ऐड कर सकते हो या फिर उनको रिमूव कर सकते हो विद द हेल्प ऑफ आइटरेटर्स. एंड देयर आर सर्टेन मेथड्स इन द आइटरेटर्स दैट आर सम ऑफ द मेथड्स आर. वन इज बूलियन हैज नेक्स्ट. दिस मेथड चेक्स वेदर देर इज अ नेक्स्ट एलिमेंट और नॉट. देन वी हैव object next element. This returns next element. Object next है method का नाम. It returns the next element in the collection. Then we have void remove. Void remove removes the current element from the collection list. So this is the basic theory about iterators. Now we can also explain the concept of iterators with the help of a simple example. So what I am going to do is I am writing a simple example here. For example, I have created a array list. मैंने एक array list बनाया है A1 and in the array list I have added certain elements like A, B, C, D. So I am adding A, then B, and you can add n number of elements. Now see what happens. Create an object of iterator class and associate that object with the collection and object. So what I am going to do is I am associating this itr object with a1 object. So a1 dot iterator. Then I can use these methods to iterate through the collection list, which is a1. Since has next object method is used to check whether there is next element or not, तो हम loop चलाएंगे कब तक, जब तक has next true होगा. So I am writing while itr dot has next, it returns true or false. So जब तक element होंगे ये true return करेगा और हमारा loop run करेगा. Then system dot out dot println, to print simply write itr dot next. It will print the next element value. So this is the simple program of iterator and the theory of the iterators. The next question is related to the multi-threading topic of Java. The question is, what is the use of synchronized blocks? So synchronized blocks are used to create critical section in Java code. So with the help of synchronized blocks, you can create critical sections. And to enter in that critical section, a thread needs to acquire a lock. So you can write also that to enter a critical section, a thread requires a lock. So this is about synchronized block. You can write like this. A synchronized block का example आप लिखते हैं तो synchronized, then specify the object on which you want to synchronize your program and the block. There are the statements like this. So this block will be synchronized. अब इसका यूज क्या है सिंक्रोनाइज ब्लॉक का, ये तो हमें पता लगे कि क्रिटिकल सेक्शन बनाने के काम में आता है. See, the problem that happens is, if we have an resource m1 and there are two threads t1 and t2. Now threads runs concurrently, so they can access this m1 simultaneously. But if the resource m1 is such that the consistency of this m1 depends on the order of execution of t1 and t2, then there will be a problem if both t1 and t2 are accessing it simultaneously. So to enforce this utility, what I can do is I can make this object as synchronized. So if I write like this, synchronized m1, then at a time only one thread can access this block. So if t1 has acquired a lock, then it will sorry, if t1 has acquired a lock, then it will access m1, and when the execution is complete, it will release the lock, and only after that t2 can acquire a lock and complete its process. So in this way, serializability is maintained and the consistent state of this resource is maintained. So this is about the basic theory of synchronized block. You can refer my earlier video on synchronize, where I have shown what is the problem of not using synchronize and how synchronize keyword can be used to resolve the problem. The next question is difference between AWT and swing package. So you can write the differences as I am writing it here. First difference is AWT components are platform dependent. So AWT components are platform dependent, whereas swing components are platform independent. Being platform dependent, AWT components or controls are heavyweight. By heavyweight, we means they require more resources, whereas swing components are lightweight. Since they are independent of the OS, they require less resources for their look and feel. AWT doesn't support pluggable look and feel, whereas swing supports pluggable look and feel. By pluggable look and feel, we means wherever or on whatever operating system you are running, the look and feel will be same. But in AWT, the look and feel is OS dependent. Then we have, there are less number of components. AWT, for example, doesn't have any component for radio buttons, whereas swing contains more number of components. And it doesn't follow MVC architecture, whereas swing follows MVC architecture. So this is the basic difference between AWT and swing. The next question is explain thread life cycle. So what you have to do is you have to explain the life cycle of thread. The life cycle of thread is like this. सबसे पहले thread के अंदर होता है newborn state. It is when thread is created. From newborn, thread calls start method and thread goes in रनेबल स्टेट. जैसे ही इसको प्रोसेस मिलता है ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम से, इट गोज इन रनिंग एंड फ्रॉम रनिंग टू रनेबल इट कैन बी with the help of yield method. Then a thread can goes in dead state with the help of stop method, and there is another state which is blocked. Blocked means thread is currently waiting for some event to happen, and there are different methods like suspend, और suspend को resume करने के लिए resume method हमारे पास. Then we have sleep. Sleep has milliseconds specified in the arguments. Then we have wait method, and wait method के counterpart है notify and notify all. So this is the life cycle of thread. The next question is write a program using multi-threading wherein 3 different objects will run in parallel to print table of 3 numbers. Now this is a very simple question. इसको बहुत ही सिंपल तरीके से आप कैसे कर सकते हैं, मैं बिल्कुल सिंपल तरीका आपको इसको बता रहा हूँ करने का. What you can do is you can create 3 different classes. So suppose this is class C1. Create with the help of thread, so extends thread. Then in this class write run method. और इस रन मेथड में आपको टेबल प्रिंट करानी है 3 डिफरेंट नंबर्स की. सो प्रिंट टेबल यूजिंग फॉर लूप ऑफ 1 नंबर. सिमिलरली क्रिएट क्लास C2 and class C3. So you have created 3 classes. Then create one main class. So class empty, public static void main. And create objects of these 3 classes. Suppose C1 का ऑब्जेक्ट मैंने बनाया O1 equals to new C1. Similarly C2, O2 is equals to new C2. And C3, O3 is equals to new C3. So I have created 3 different objects. जो क्वेश्चन में था 3 different objects. Then simply run this threads with O1 dot start, O2 dot start, and O3 dot start. So this is the simple program where three different objects are running in parallel to print tables of three different numbers. आप इसमें 2 की टेबल प्रिंट करा सकते हैं, इस वाली में 3 की टेबल प्रिंट करा सकते हो, इसमें 4 की टेबल आप प्रिंट करा सकते हो. द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज रिलेटेड टू इवेंट हैंडलिंग. पहला पार्ट है इसमें व्हाट इज इवेंट डेलीगेशन मॉडल. सो इवेंट डेलीगेशन मॉडल मैंने पहले भी एक्सप्लेन किया है इन 2012 और 13 क्वेश्चन पेपर. सो यू कैन रेफर दैट पार्ट फ्रॉम देयर. Now the question that I am going to solve is write a program to create a simple calculator having 4 operations add, subtract, multiply, divide using swing package and event handling. So सबसे पहले हम क्या करेंगे इसमें, क्रिएट ए बेसिक टेम्पलेट जो आप बनाना चाहते हैं इस प्रोग्राम में. सो व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू क्रिएट इज वी विल हैव 2 डिफरेंट टेक्स्ट फील्ड्स जो नंबर्स को एंटर करने के लिए यूज होंगी. देन वी हैव 4 बटन्स ऑपरेशंस, ऐड, सब्ट्रैक्ट, मल्टीप्लाई, divide, and finally we will have one text field for the result. So this is the structure that we are going to create using swings and event handling. तो देखिए सबसे पहले मुझे क्या बनाना है, इसमें आपको पता होना चाहिए क्या क्या आपको बनाना है. We will create one frame, we need one frame, then we need 3 text fields and 4 buttons. These controls we need to create. So now let's start with the programming. Since we have to use swing package, I am writing import javax.swing, and for event handling you have to use import java.awt.event package. Create a class, suppose class calculator CLC, extends JFrame and implements action listener interface. अब देखिए सबसे पहले मुझे क्या बनाना है, यहाँ पे फ्रेम, 3 टेक्स्ट फील्ड और 4 बटन्स. सो क्रिएट reference variables of all these things. JFrame F1, then J button B1, B2, B3, B4, and J text field T1, T2. So these are the reference variables that I have created. Now create a constructor of this class calc and initialize all the reference variables. So f1 is equals to new jframe, b1 is equals to new j button, और इसमें हम लिखेंगे ऐड. सिमिलरली आई विल राइट फॉर ऑल द अदर कंपोनेंट्स एंड देन कम बैक. सो आई हैव रिटन फॉर एवरी अदर कंपोनेंट लाइक B2, B3, B4, then register all the buttons with the action listener like this. B1 dot add action listener, this write for B2, B3, B4, create text fields. T1 is equals to new text field, create for T2 and T3 also here. Then add all the buttons and text field using this f1 dot add and the component. उसके बाद आपको इसमें वो भी लिखना है f1 dot set layout, f1 dot set visible and f1 dot set size. I am not writing but you have to write it. So now coming to the main logic of the program. Public void action performed action event AE. Now this is the method that will get called whenever button is clicked. So now what I have to do is I have to add the values present in these two text fields and set the value in this. अगर मैं ऐड क्लिक करूंगा तो इन दोनों की वैल्यू को ऐड करके यहाँ पे प्रिंट करना है. Similarly for subtract, multiply and divide. So what I need first is I need the values entered by the user in these two text fields. So create two variables of type int, suppose int I, j and result. I is for first text field, j is for second and result is for last text field. So I is equals to integer dot parse int t1 dot get text. t1 dot get text will return the integer value present in this text field, and with the help of integer dot parse int I am typecasting that string into integer. Similarly write for second, that is j, integer dot parse int t2 dot get text. So what I have is I के अंदर पहले फील्ड की वैल्यू आ गई और j के अंदर सेकेंड फील्ड की वैल्यू मेरे पास आ गई. नाउ व्हाट आई हैव टू डू इज आई हैव टू परफॉर्म द ऑपरेशंस. तो कौन सा बटन क्लिक हुआ है उसके लिए मैं एक स्ट्रिंग टाइप का वेरिएबल ले रहा हूँ, स्ट्रिंग str, विच विल होल्ड द टाइप ऑफ बटन क्लिक्ड. सो स्ट्रिंग str इज इक्वल्स टू ae डॉट गेट एक्शन कमांड. This method will return the caption of the button. So if str dot equals add, then result is equals to I plus j and set the value of this. So it will be t3 dot set text string dot value of what? Result. So in this way you can do for each and every button. बस आपको कहाँ पे चेंज करना है. if str dot equals subtract then result is equals to I minus j. If str dot equals to mult then result is equals to I into j, and similarly for division. So this is the complete program for this simple calculator. The next question is about writing short notes on the following. First is layout manager. Since I have already covered layout manager in detail, you can refer that video. The link is given here. Then we have JDBC. JDBC भी मैंने पहले करा रखा है, but I will give you a basic overview of the JDBC in this video also. Then we have RMI. So what is a JDBC? JDBC is a Java API. It is a Java API for database independent connectivity. Between Java and various databases. Clear? So this is the basic definition of JDBC, that is Java Database Connectivity. You can refer the earlier video by clicking the link over here. Now we will see about RMI. Since RMI is a new term and it is not in the syllabus, but the question is asked, so you need to know what is an RMI. And if the question is again asked, then at least you can mention some of the points about RMI. So RMI is remote method invocation. जो फुल फॉर्म है RMI की वो है, it is remote method invocation. It is an API actually. It is an API that provides a mechanism. It is an API that provides a mechanism to create distributed application in Java. सो व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? सपोज आपका एक प्रोग्राम है यहाँ पे एट योर ओन JVM मशीन. सो आई एम नेमिंग इट एज JVM1. और एक प्रोग्राम यहाँ पे रन कर रहा है अंडर अनदर JVM विच इज JVM2. And if you want to invoke a method from JVM1 to JVM2, then you can use RMI. Suppose एक मेथड है मेरे पास यहाँ पे M1 और मैं इस मेथड को यहाँ से इन्वोक करना चाहता हूँ. Then with the help of RMI I can do that. So RMI allows an object. RMI allows an object to invoke methods on a object running in another JVM, which is what I have explained. RMI में दो डिफरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं. फर्स्ट इज स्टब. RMI में एक स्टब होता है और एक होता है आपका स्केलेटन. स्टब एक्ट एज ए गेटवे फॉर क्लाइंट. whereas skeleton acts as a gateway for server. So this is the basic idea about RMI. I am not going in much detail since it is not in the syllabus. So if the question comes, then you can use these points to explain your answer. The last question that was asked in the paper is write a program to read and print contents of a file. Since I have already explained this part also, but I am going to write the program and then come back in this video and explain to you the functionality of the program. Now let's see how we can read and print contents of a file in Java. So मैंने क्या करा है, यहाँ पे मैंने कुछ यहाँ पे ऑब्जेक्ट्स बना के रखे हैं. इन फाइल एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया है जिसमें से मैं रीड करूँगा. सो दिस इज़ यूज्ड फॉर रीडिंग. आप एक ही प्रोग्राम में दोनों एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं. देन आई हैव क्रिएट आउट फाइल विद a2.txt. In this I will write the contents of this file a1.txt. So it is for writing. I have created an object of file reader fr and file router fw. So now let's start with the program. So write like this: fr is equals to new file reader. Now I have to associate this fr with in file, क्योंकि मैं a1.txt से रीड करूँगा. सो आई हैव टू एसोशिएट इट. सो राइट पास द पैरामीटर इन फाइल हेयर. सिमिलरली fw इज इक्वल्स टू न्यू फाइल राइटर एंड आई विल राइट द कंटेंट्स इन दिस. सो एसोशिएट दिस विद द आउट फाइल. अब देखिए क्या करते हैं हम. जब रीड करते हैं तो वो स्काई वैल्यू रिटर्न करता है. तो उसके लिए मैं एक इंटीजर ले रहा हूँ, इंट कैरेक्टर ch. देन while this character is not equals to -1. और करेक्टर के अंदर क्या वैल्यू आ रही है? fr.read. दिस fr.read इज एक्चुअली रिटर्न इन द स्काई वैल्यू. और -1 का मतलब है एंड ऑफ फाइल. सो नाउ दिस इज द रीडिंग. दिस इज द कोड फॉर रीडिंग ऑफ फाइल. तो प्रिंट कराना है इसका कंटेंट. तो प्रिंट कराने के लिए हम सिंपली क्या लिख सकते हैं यहाँ पे? system.out.println देन टाइप कास्टिंग करेक्टर ch. इसमें सिर्फ क्वेश्चन में यही पूछा गया था कि राइट ए प्रोग्राम टू रीड एंड प्रिंट. सो यू कैन क्लोज योर प्रोग्राम हेयर ऑल्सो एंड इट विल बी वर्क फाइन. बट इफ यू वांट टू राइट द कंटेंट्स ऑफ दिस फाइल a1 to a2.txt, आपको यहाँ पे क्या लिखना पड़ेगा? सिंपली system.out.println के नीचे fw dot write ch. So this is how you can read and print the contents and also read and write the contents of a file. So in this video I have tried to solve the question of the paper that is asked in IP University. So you can refer earlier papers also. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tutorials. Thank you.